welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we have some more Halloween for you, but this time we're really going to focus on safety, making sure your kids are safe when they're dressed up, when they're out trick-or-treating. And my guest is one of our officer friendlies, Officer Ashley Jenrette. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So you work with kids in the schools every day. You're a mom, so you're familiar with this on a whole lot of different levels. What are some things, I think, parents worry about this holiday.
Yes.
And kids don't, because kids, it's like the most fun thing in the whole wide world. The only thing they worry about is can they get the costume they want, right?
Costume and free candy.
A lot of free candy,
yes.
Which from personal experience, I can say mom goes through and takes the good stuff when
Yes.
the kids aren't looking, but we won't tell them that. But there are a lot of safety concerns.
Yes, there are.
Let's start with the costume.
With the costume, one thing that we like to suggest to parents with costumes, we want them to be short enough so the child does not trip over the costume. We would love for you to add reflective tape on every side of the costume to make your child more visible. Also with the costume, face masks, they tend to obstruct view or vision of the child. So we would prefer you have face paint if possible, or please make sure your child is able to see out of their face mask prior to leaving the home.
I think, masks are, because they're part of some of these costumes, but they're also really uncomfortable. Kids begin to sweat or they fog up or whatever. It is a hard thing. And a lot of times you can achieve that with face masks, with face paint. Or hats or some other things. So I think that's a really good tip. And it makes the kid happier too.
Yes.
In the long run.
Yes.
Or the mask ends up on top of the head.
Ends up on the top. And I notice my children, of course, I'm a mom, they love face paint. So they prefer the face paint over the mask. We haven't had to use a mask any year that they've been out because, like I say, they do prefer the face paint. It's more fun.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one tip. What else do you have?
For props, there are some costumes that may come with swords or daggers or things like that. We prefer that if it's hard plastic or wood, leave it at home. Maybe opt for rubber foam. That would reduce risk of injury if the child were to fall because it's more flexible.
And not to stereotype, but boys especially, and a lot of little kids really like that.
Yes.
So, and I do think sometimes your dollar store kind of places have the more flexible foam ones, or you can find them if you go look. That's a great idea.
Yes, ma'am.
What about when you're out trick-or-treating with your kids, flashlights?
Flashlights. Love flashlights. Yes, we would love for every child to have a flashlight or a glow stick with them. Any parent, of course, because we want a parent or trusted adult to take the child out, we would like for them to have a flashlight and have a flashlight at the front of the group in order to look for any obstacles that may be in the way.
And it's hard because kids start running.
Yes.
It's very hard to keep up with them, to keep them calm enough. Especially at the beginning of the evening, but then the truth is also if they stop and eat some candy, then they just get more and more excited. And so it's really hard to make sure they can see where they're going.
Yes, and I'm also going to piggyback on that where you said they're going to stop and eat candy. We don't really want the kids to test or sample any candy while they're in the trick-or-treating process. We would prefer for you to wait till you get home so your parent can go through your candy and pick out candy that you're able to eat. Any unwrapped candy, popcorn, or candy apples that you may receive, we would like for you to throw those away unless you know the person who gave them to you and you trust that person.
And I know sometimes in neighborhoods that happens. You know who it is, or they write. I've seen people put their name and address on it. So it's like, okay, I can check that out, or I know where that came from. Because it's a rush. I can't say that every house I stop at, I know what my kid got at that house. It starts moving quickly at some point.
Exactly. Becomes a blur.
Okay.
Neighborhoods, we do want you to take your kids to neighborhoods that you know and trust, neighborhoods that you're comfortable with. When walking up to doors or walking away from doors, we prefer that you use sidewalks or marked pathways because we don't want children going through yards tripping on any unknown obstacles, lawn decorations, or anything of that nature.
And they do that a lot. They want to take that shortcut from one door to the next.
Yes.
So try to make them walk the long way.
The long way, yes.
Hold their hands of the little ones.
Hold their hands, stay together, walk with the group. Like I said, keep a close eye. If you plan to stay at home and give out candy, you could get a table, put it at the end of your driveway. to hand your candy out there during slower times, you're able to actually watch the neighborhood kids, keep an eye on them, and look for any risks or injuries or suspicious activity, and that would actually help us out a lot.
Okay, I know I always sit on the front steps. I mean, unless I have something else I have to be doing inside. But it's just fun, too. It's fun to watch. We have a neighbor who dresses up as a scarecrow and tries to scare kids, as they walk past and stuff. So it's entertainment for the whole street.
Yes, it is.
Age-wise, what ages are that? I know there are rules and people don't always follow them, but the rule for trick-or-treating is?
Yes, City of Hampton, 12 years of age and under are allowed to trick-or-treat. It actually starts at sunset, which is approximately 6 p.m., and ends at 8 p.m.
That's a hard one, too, because it's hard to get home from work and get the kids ready and, be out the door at 6. And believe me, they want to be there at the first possible time. Yes. And there's still some light, so you don't think you need the flashlight at 6. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, darn.
Yes, it's dark out here.
We did need that, didn't we?
Yes. So like I said, 6, if you can get started earlier, I do understand that break between, a lot of people are just getting off work about 5:30 or 6, but of course the times are set for the safety of the children. Mm-hmm. And like I said, under the age is 12 and under. Another thing, curfew. We do want to emphasize curfew is if you're under the age of 14, you have to be in by 10 p.m.
10 p.m. And that is a night that's tempting for kids, for the older kids to want to be out.
They are Halloween Friday night this year. Oh, yeah. So like I said, again, we want you to know if you are under the age of 14, you have to be in by 10 p.m. If you're between the ages of 14 and 18, you need to be in by 11 p.m.
Right. What am I forgetting? What else do we need to warn people about?
Let's see, we touched on the costumes, we've touched on neighborhood safety, and I know that it's trick or treat. We prefer that treat over trick because there is a very fine line between vandalism and tricks. So just to keep it safe and keep everyone out of trouble, we're opting for treats this year.
Yes, this year. Okay, and watch the little kids. I will say that sometimes the older kids tend to be moving so fast that the little ones get knocked around. Or remember, if you have a 2 to 4 year old, they're going to get tired. So take a wagon, take a stroller. Exactly. Don't make them run to keep up with everybody else. That one can be hard.
Yes, it can. Normally, I haven't been able to take my children out, but I do send them out with family members of mine, and we usually send about 3 adults. So that way we have someone who can keep up with the older kids, someone who can keep up with the smaller kids in our group, and then we also have one who's nearby with a vehicle, just in case.
Sometimes, especially if you're starting early, there are a lot of dark houses on a street, and you should skip those. If the lights aren't on, don't go up and knock on the door. You're wasting your time because they're probably not home and there's no candy, or sometimes it might be older people who don't feel comfortable participating or have a belief against it. But for the most part, remind kids you're wasting your time. Go to the houses that are lit. It's safer, and you'll be more successful.
Yes, ma'am. You're exactly right. Only approach houses that have the porch light on. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay. Officer Jenrette, anything else you want to add?
No, ma'am. I believe we've touched on all the points. I just want all of our kids in the city of Hampton to have fun this Halloween, but most importantly, stay safe.
Stay safe. And you won't be out that night. You'll actually be working a football game, I hear.
Will not be out. So another year, my kids won't have me. I will be working high school football Friday night, Halloween.
Well, that'll be a fun night anyway.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
You'll have your challenges, as you always do.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you. Remember, whether you're trick-or-treating or giving out candy, to be safe, keep the lights on, bring a flashlight, costumes that make sense. Have fun, but you're not going to have fun if you're not staying safe or if someone gets injured. So be careful out there. Thank you.